Hey dorks, just a quick message reminding you to head over to twitch.tv/mindgappodcast and give us a follow. We live stream when we record our new podcast episodes, and we're live streaming video game sessions on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Central Time. We're playing super rad stuff like Among Us, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, Jackbox games, and Tabletop Simulator. Come hang out and play along with us. That's twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. Mind Gap Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And we are absolutely blessed to have you here with us this week. Blessed.
Hashtag blessed. My mouse was one cell down. That's why we get the bell first.
I was like, I kind of made sense. It's like blessed.
It was the wrong one.
It's like you're ringing the bell at the guest services at heaven. It's like ding. Oh, they come down. How may I help you, sir?
How can we help you?
Good to see you again, Mr. Strandland.
Thank you.
The answer is still no. You cannot come in.
God damn it.
See you next time. Oh.
God damn it. That's why.
That's as they fly away. That's why.
That's why.
Oh man, I know to the listeners, it hasn't been that long, but I feel like it's been a long time since you and I have talked because it was an extra couple days.
Every time we record something on the weekend, it throws our recording schedule off. So it does put us like, I think it's like something like 9 days. It puts us a weekend some days out from recording the next one. So we go a long time without talking, and it's like a weighted blanket has been lifted off me, and I'm naked now, and I'm nervous, and I need Doug to lay back on me.
And I'm hard, you know, and it's like, I don't have any hands, so someone's got to take care of this because I can't do it.
Because I can't do it. I'm too nervous. It's a weighted blanket. You're my weighted blanket, Doug.
That's the nicest thing I've heard today.
I need you to lay on me.
That's something I wish I could just hear as like a daily affirmation. You are my weighted blanket, and I need you to lay on me. Like, okay. Hope you know what this means.
You're not gonna like this.
Jared came in at the right time. Good time to join. I'm naked and hard.
That's accurate.
Real quick, I want to do a Doug weight update. I've lost over 50 pounds at this point in time.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. I had a new personal best today. I was 237. 237.
That's fucking awesome, man. How do you feel? Again, we talked about this offline, but I always equate this to carrying around bowling balls.
Yeah, right.
Like when I started with the marathon thing and dropped my weight, I was like, man, that's 3 fucking bowling balls. 10-pound bowling balls that I'm not carrying around. So think about strapping 5 10-pound bowling balls to you. That's an insane amount of weight to drop.
Exactly. And Jared, to answer your question, it's 22.5 kilograms. So there you go. Yeah. Hey, Etoyo7! You leave for a month and Doug gets skinny. It's been more than that. Been more than a month. But thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I don't want it back. Thank you. I'm good. My goal is to lose more. But yeah, I feel good, man. I feel really good. Just little things in general. Like I'll give you an example. For some reason, the outlet in the back of my house that I used to plug my smoker in just fucking stopped working at night. So I had to get out the extension cord and do that. And usually when I'm done, I roll it up around my arm. And in the past when I've done that, because I put it around my left and I do it, my arms are getting tired as I just put the loops around. And tonight I did it. I'm like, hey, they're not tired. You know, the little things like that.
So you're saying that in the past, just holding your arm up for like over 30 seconds.
Yes. While wrapping stuff around it, I'm like,
it's amazing what the human body can do.
Right. You know, and, it's felt good. It's felt good just to go to the gym and, I have a regular routine. I go there 3 to 4 times a week. I walk approximately at least 5 miles a day. So if not more, depending on like I do 2 specific walks that get me 5 miles, and then like, you know, plus I do other walking just throughout my day. So I'm feeling really good.
Good.
And then, you know, I then watch videos of food, like how to make movie theater popcorn at home. And I'm like, well, I gotta try this, you know. So I did that tonight. I made some, but I only had a couple of handfuls, so I didn't eat it. And then there you go, right? And then
you didn't turn the bowl upside down.
I wasn't like, this is mine. Fight me for it, child. You know,
like as would happen in the Cochran household.
Yeah, I would have just been like, see who gets to the bottom first. You know, just like going to town on it. And I'm like, I'll have a couple and, you know, get to taste it. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. I'll do better next time. It was the first time I was doing it. And now I also know how to make its salted maple caramel corn. So,
ooh, that sounds tasty.
Yeah, it sounds fucking delicious. So I'm gonna make that
kind of like almost like a kettle-y type corn, like a little salty, little sweet. Yeah.
Yep. So that's gonna be good. I'm gonna try that. I also learned how to make pita bread, which I'm like, yeah, baby. I'm gonna fucking get that. I haven't made bread in forever.
Yeah, for a long time you were on a real heavy bread kick. You were becoming quite the baker.
Yeah, I'll never be slotty, but I was trying all different types of bread. So and I was like, I just recently tried this recipe with pita bread, and I was like, the store bought ones, it's fine, but it's like you can make your own. I'm like, I want to make my own.
I'm gonna make my own.
I'm gonna make my own pita bread.
Did you get into the whole you didn't do the whole sourdough starter bullshit thing?
I was like, sourdough, right? I know is like supposedly really good, but I've seen multiple videos on what it takes to make it. I'm not there for it. Too much, way too much effort for bread. I'm just like, I'm not going to do it. So
okay, it's too much. I don't want to feed my bread.
Yeah,
I already take care of a daughter, a cat, and a dog. I don't need to take care of another living entity.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Jared said, are you doing weights at the gym or just cardio? I'm actually doing weights at the gym, and then I'm eating really well, and then I'm walking. Like, I don't actually do a ton of cardio, because from my understanding, cardio is a big lie. In the sense of if you're doing mostly cardio and nothing else, it's not necessarily, it will still be good for you, but it won't necessarily get you the results that you want, because that's the only thing you're focusing on. Now, again, Justin, you've run 2 marathons, and you know, you look I don't know, great.
I dropped 30 pounds when I ran my first one. I put some back on.
Sure.
But it melted off me on that first one. So I know I've heard the same thing where people are like, cardio doesn't make you lose weight. And I'm like, I'd love to have this discussion further, because how?
I think, again, coming from a non-expert here,
I truly don't know. Like, I'm willing to be proven wrong. I feel like it did.
Yeah, it obviously did. I saw you. You ran 2 marathons. You look great. Like, it obviously works. I think it's probably gets into the nitty gritty of how many calories are you burning, and how much does it continue to burn when you're done? Because that's another, based on the exercise that you do, you know, sometimes strength training and stuff like that, your body will continue to burn calories or continue that going, whereas cardio may taper off a lot sooner. So again, it also probably depends on the frequency, right? If you're running to run a marathon over an 8-month period, you're probably going to see some results.
I was going to say too, most people, when they do cardio, it's like, oh, I did 30 minutes of cardio today. I was running 15 miles on the regular. So that's when you go extreme on anything, you're going to see, you know, skewed results, we'll say.
You will see strong results one way or the other, depending on how you do it in the extreme. So for sure, that is a real thing. That will absolutely happen. So yeah,
I've been trying to get back into it too. So for the last, I've been probably 4 weeks strong now, 4 or 5 weeks strong. I've been doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I've been going to the gym and I've been lifting.
Nice.
And then I'll run 3 miles after that. And then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I'll go out and I'll run 4 miles.
Dude,
so
good
I've been
for
trying
you.
to do 6 days a week, 3 days lifting and running, and 3 days just running.
That's awesome, man.
It's been good. I haven't seen a ton of weight loss, but I have seen some muscle definition starting to come out, like in my arms and shoulders, which has been really cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm the kind of guy that if you don't see results, I start to get really deterred. So it's been nice to see. I'm like, oh, I can by no in no way, shape, or form am I like, yeah, I got muscles now, bro. But I'm starting to see a change in my physiology, so that's nice. Yeah,
I've got the flappy skin right now, so I'm working on like. Yeah. I went up like this the other day with my arms. I was like flappy. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, we've lost some weight, so we'll get it back to where it belongs.
We'll call that a win.
Yeah, it's cool. The scale says I'm 237, so that's good. I'm doing well. My body's just adapting, and we'll get there. It's no big deal. We'll tighten that up. But also when I lift weights, I do more full body stuff. It's not just isolated muscle stuff that I used to do. It's like pushing a weighted sled or doing, things where it's using multiple parts of my body, which is great because I feel like it's also doing a little bit of cardio and it's using more than just one. I'm going to isolate curls and just do that. I'm going to do other things that will incorporate that, but also incorporate other parts of my body as well, which is
that's
really
nice that you have that option. I would love my gym. It's in my building, and it's it's small. It's if anyone who's lived in an apartment that's got some amenities, like you used to live in an apartment across the street that had a gym, and you know what those look like. They've got stuff, but they're not wonderful. I wish I had the ropes and the sled and that kind of stuff. I would love to do. Because for me, I'm such a novice with lifting, and I feel like I'm not doing it right.
Yeah,
I'm taking what you taught me in that brief period, and I remembered. I'm like, okay, cool. It's not about the extension; it's about bringing it down slow and engaging the like. So I remember a little bit, and then some things that I've looked up online, but I know there's more I could be doing. But I don't feel like I have anything down there that can get me a full body workout, like that sled, like the ropes, things that you have at a full gym that you go to. I'm missing that element, I feel like.
And you asked me why I decided to pay for a gym. That's why, because there's all those other elements. They have kettlebells, they've got medicine balls, they've got ropes, they've got all sorts of stuff plus the machines and stuff that I like to use. And that gets me real excited. And I've really been enjoying just the way that I feel afterwards, so which has been really good. Etoy, to ask your question, I use an app called Noom, which is both something that kind of helps you, it teaches you how to eat better through psychology. It also has a step counter and all this other stuff, and it does a great way of tracking food. It's been the genesis of all this. I was looking to make a change. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give Noom a try, and I haven't looked back since. So it is a monthly subscription, but it's totally fucking worth it, in my opinion. Because for me, as I've said before, it's about understanding my portions and understanding I needed the metrics of like don't want to call it good or bad to eat, but what's a smart choice? What is going to what can you eat that is going to fill up this ogre tummy to stop being hungry, but also is going to be good for me as well.
Get
like
in my belly.
The other day I was really hungry still, and I was like, well, I'm just going to eat grapes until I'm full. And I did, I counted them. I ate 100 grapes, and that was 200 calories. But I was just like, I'm going to eat these, and I felt really full afterwards. And I was like, this is what I need, as opposed to, you know what I want? Something sweet. And then I eat something sweet. I'm like, I'm still hungry. And then I eat another, it's I don't want to do that anymore, man. Like I want to be able to eat something that's going to fill me up, that also I'm going to teach myself that I can eat what I want. I just have to be mindful of the portions. Like I could have a handful of popcorn and not be like, because I'm also drinking a lot of water throughout the day to fill up my stomach and just doing other stuff. Like the portion control has been and always will be my problem. Right. Without a doubt.
Well, and that's the same thing for me with because we've talked about chips are my absolute Achilles heel. And so I will house a bag of like Doritos if they're in the house. But if, again, to your point, you can have some, but if the serving size is 14 chips, then measure out 14 chips and enjoy those and then be done with it. Yeah. And that's not just gorging on that. My thing though is very similar to you, like where you get that, like, I want something sweet. I get salty. For me, I want something salty, and I find, and I might just need to do more research on it, but I'm finding it harder to, like with sweet, you've got grapes, you've got watermelons, there's so much you can do with that. With salty, it's real hard to find something that is in the green category of Noom that is satisfying for that.
Yeah, it's true. And the thing with me too is I'm a real cockroach in the regard of I find what works and I just stick with it. Like I find, which is something I need to challenge myself out of, because I definitely put things into categories of good or bad, and it's not good or bad. It's just food. And one of the biggest things I invested in was a scale for the kitchen, because when you realize how much, I don't know, 8 ounces is, you're like, holy shit. Like when I used to eat a whole Costco ribeye, I weighed that. I'm like, this is over a pound. This is 1.5 pounds of goddamn beef. And I would just
damn right.
And it was delicious. And I would eat all of it and then other things. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? So now I weigh it out 4 to 5 ounces. I get some roasted potatoes in there. I throw in some veggies. I spread the plate out to be like, this is 60% vegetables and 40%, maybe 70-30. So I eat those other things and then I eat that so I can still enjoy it. And I've kind of gotten myself to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm going to, you know, I can do this now. And now part of it too is like teaching you how to use your intuition. It's like actually saying, rely on Noom less. Like take a day, don't track your stuff, see how you do. And know that it's going to be okay. Like if you don't get it today, you can get it tomorrow. And it's just having an extra cookie is not going to add 2 pounds tomorrow.
Right.
It's going to even out. You just have to remind yourself to keep going. And I think that's the thing I like about this is the longevity of it. And also not focusing on some sort of goal weight, because that may not be where your body wants to be. So it's just a number. And I have a number in mind. I don't know if it's feasible or if it's like maintainable. I'm going to try. And if it's not, I'll be cool with that. Whatever. I'll go to wherever my body is like, this is where we need to be.
I've always said that I don't really mind what I weigh. It's how I feel and what I look like optically. Like, so I don't, because again, like, you know, you can be 30 pounds of muscle looks very different than 30 pounds of fat. So if I don't lose 30 pounds or if I lose it, but put it back on with some, like the number is not, I used to do the same thing where I was obsessing over the number, and the number I've realized is far less important than just the feeling. And when you look at yourself and go, cool, I'm happy with this. Or like, for example, a good indicator is, can you fit into a shirt that you want to fit into? Yeah. You have said that you've been able to expand your wardrobe because there's been some shirts that have just been off limits for you because you couldn't physically fit into them. Yeah. And now they're hanging off you. And you're like, cool. So this is where I'm happy because I can fit into these things now.
This shirt I'm wearing right now, I didn't used to wear much. Like I got a lot of stuff where, you know, I'm like, it feels really tight and uncomfortable. And I'm wearing all of those shirts now. I put on a Batman shirt that I've never worn because it was too tight. And I actually put it on the other day for the first time and I wore it. And I'm like, I feel comfortable in this. I'm like, yay! Like those are the kinds of things you're like, all right, this is working.
3 shirts in my closet that are my one-day shirts.
There you go.
One of them I've never worn.
Hey.
And then 2 of them I wore. Right, it was the year after I did the marathon when I was still able to, but then after that, game over, and they've just been sitting. And they sit next to each other. They're friends now.
They're buddies.
They're buddies. They've gotten comfortable. So
I definitely, it's been a good problem to have where I'm like, these shorts don't fit me. Or, you know, I'm going to a wedding this weekend. I'm like, fuck, I don't even know. Like, I was like, I'm just going to wear jeans. But I was like, I don't even know if these jeans fit me. I was like, I'm going to wear my sport coat. That should be fine because the sport coat was always a little snug. I was like, this one should be fine now. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm looking at some of my shirts and I'm like, oh man, like my neck, you can really see my neck here because it's just like, it's really hanging off of me. I'm like, it's a good problem to have, man. It's a good problem to have.
That is. And that's the hard part with the weight loss journey is because you're just like, fuck, I do need to spend a significant amount of money to swap out my wardrobe so I don't look like a fucking just a vagabond, just things hanging off me.
And I've already bought some clothes that I also don't fit into anymore. Like I bought a pair of swim trunks and I'm like, oh shit, these don't fit me anymore. I'm like, all right, I need to buy some new ones. So it's definitely a good problem to have. It's a great problem. And I just feel like updating because I don't know, it was a big win today to kind of go over the 50-pound loss mark, and I was like, holy shit,
absolutely, man,
I made it past.
Celebrate that for sure.
And I was like, okay, we got this, baby. 30 more pounds to go. Let's see if we can get there, you know. And if not, no big deal.
To celebrate.
Yes, let's have some salted caramel maple popcorn. Thank you, Etoy. And Slotty, your sourdough, congratulations, you fed it for a year. Nobody cares. And a scale is great for weighing bread, like focaccia. I'm glad you got a focaccia pan, because focaccia ain't nothing to drinks.
I got your focaccia right here.
Yeah, right here. Points to Dick. Right here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Well, that was a nice little diatribe. Let's talk about a couple of things we got to get through real quick. Number one, don't forget to let's do us on Spotify. Boo, 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 boo. Amongst other places. And actually, there's another place, another app that I just actually started using because I like it. It's called Good Pods. Good Pods. It's an awesome app. It's kind of like the Instagram of the podcast world, where as you listen to stuff, it kind of goes on a feed. And you can follow people and you can kind of see what they listen to. You can also rate and recommend stuff on there. I'm a big fan of it. I really like it. It's pretty cool. We're on there too. So I say go check it out on your phone. I've actually stopped using Apple Podcasts and started using that instead. Oh, wow. Just because I want to, I don't know. I feel like, Apple Podcasts is fine. It doesn't have all of the features of Apple Podcasts, but I like the idea of the community that's around Good Pods. So
for sure. Yeah.
Completely not paid promotion. I'd say go check it out. I think it's cool. They pretty much all of your podcasts are there. You just add them up and give them a listen. And you can kind of get some feeds going and check us out there. That'd be really cool. Also, don't forget to check out our Discord server. Head over to twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. In our About section, you'll find a little banner that says Discord. Just click right on there. It'll send you over, accept the invite, and join our happy, dysfunctional family. We set up game nights for all sorts of shit. We post great memes. We have different discussions about different stuff. You can also submit anything you want for the podcast there as well. If you have throwdown ideas, or we have a new section there called Ask Practical Doug. If you have a question you'd like to ask Practical Doug, just list it there and we will answer it on the podcast.
For those of you who may be newer, we did this. This was a segment or a bit we did couple years ago,
way back in the assignment desk days. We started on Twitter.
On Twitter, but we did a few of these on where we had people submit. This was still when we were in the Elephant and Castle, down in the ENC Lounge.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, if you want, here's the thing: you've got an expert at practicality right here at your fingertips. All you've got to do is just go to Discord and ask Practical Doug.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get the answer to any question that you want. I don't think you realize how valuable this is.
Yeah, listen, it's probably going to be short because it's going to be short and sweet. It's going to get to the point because that's what Practical Doug does.
Like my prom night. Right.
Short, sweet, to the point, full of magic and consent. Two very important things. Ask Practical Doug. Shoot a question and Practical Doug will answer it on the podcast. Don't forget to check out our merch on Redbubble. Redbubble.com. Just head over there. Look for Mind Gap Podcast. My goal is to get a new design up there soon. I really want to do that. We've had two great designs up there. The classic Mind Gap logo, as well as the I Will Haunt Your Butt logo with a cute little ghost saying...
I've heard that in a while.
Yeah. I will haunt your butt.
Yes. You can go check those out. Get something great like a travel mug, a tote bag, coasters, all sorts of cool shit, of course t-shirts and everything like that. So get something cool for yourself, support the podcast, we love it. I'm going to try and get something new up there very soon. And last but not least, if you don't know already, if you're not already watching us on Twitch, head over to twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. We live stream our podcasts every week. We go live. You can come hang out with us like these cool people like Slotty, like Etoy, like Zenny, like Wolfslore, all those cool folks. Chat with us live. Get in on the show. It's great. And then also we do a live stream usually every Saturday at 8 p.m. Central. FYI, this coming Friday, June the 25th, and Friday, July 2nd, I will be hosting those are on Fridays at 8 p.m. Central because I got shit going on, yo. Shit going on. I got a surprise wedding I'm going to on this Saturday.
Hopefully the person is not listening to the podcast because you just ruined the surprise.
I did. Also, they don't know they're getting wedding. They don't know they're getting wedding. Drink.
Can we talk more about that? Because that is an interesting concept. They don't know they're getting married?
Oh, they do. I'm just being a smart ass.
Got it.
Yeah. Etoy goes, cool. Wait, am I getting married? You're already married. But you know what? Yes. Getting married again.
Yes.
Double married. Is it Jared? It could be. Tune in Saturday. I will live stream from the wedding and see who it is. I knock on your door. You're getting married.
Right.
The name of the show is called You Got Weddinged.
It rolls off the tongue.
You got weddinged. It's like,
You got weddinged.
What? But this Friday,
from the creators of The Masked Singer comes You've Got Weddinged.
from the creators of Duck Dynasty, You Got Weddinged. Oh, that sounds terrible. But this Friday, I'm looking to get a crew together to play What the Dub. If you haven't, Tint says, what the fuck? I'm not even in a relationship. Well, you're getting weddinged. This Friday, I'm trying to get a game of What the Dub together. If you're not familiar, it's essentially like Mystery Science Theater 3000. You get these clips from B-roll, or no, B-movies, not even B-roll, just B-movies, and they eliminate some dialogue, and you have to fill it in, and then you vote for whoever's the funniest. So it is a real great time, and I can't wait to do it again. So,
I'm upset that I will not be around this Friday to do it because I had so much fucking fun last time. I truly love this game. So if you are around, please join that stream because it is going to be so fun.
It's going to be real. Here's the thing: if you want to play along, you don't need to own the game. I host
Bingo.
it. It's just like Jackbox games. I host it. Put the code up, you join this website, you hop in, you play along. It's great. Yeah. eToy, please join us. I think you'll enjoy it. It's fun. It's super fun. It's great. We'll be silly. And Justin was a goddamn ringer last time too. Won 4 games. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, man, it's crazy.
I popped in, won 4 out of the 5, and then I was like, cool, out.
It's like, I'm the 96 Bulls of this game, and I'm out. See you later. It's great. All right, cool. That was fun. So let's get into some nitty gritty tonight. Let's talk about some stuff, some burning questions. Let's talk about Batman.
Okay.
And everything.
Tell me about it.
Well, let me tell you about Batman and something we like to call DC stopping Batman from performing oral sex on Catwoman.
What?
I know. The DC apparently said heroes don't do that.
That's bullshit.
Let me tell you why.
DC is all about the DP. This was an interesting.
I want that to be an audio bite. DC's all about the DP. It won't make sense. I don't know when we could use it, but goddamn, that's a great audio clip. Or maybe that should be. That should be.
That's a shirt. That's a shirt. It's yes. Instead of ACDC, it's DCDP. Guys. And instead of a lightning bolt, it's just a zigzaggy dildo.
Or it's just like 2 fingers like this going into.
Someone make that shirt.
Or Jared has a good one. DC stands for Don't Cunnilingus.
There you go. Exactly.
Well, we found a new merch idea. I'm sure that will sell like hotcakes.
Doug, you were just looking for something new to put up there. Bingo.
There we go. Bingo, bango. That's going to be selling like crazy. Get your t-shirts today.
Right? Get your DCDP t-shirts today.
Oh, man. So if Justin, you're a big fan of the Harley Quinn show on HBO.
I very, very, very much like that show. Did you watch it or not? I can't remember.
I watched about 4 episodes and I wasn't feeling it. I was like, I was like, this feels like it's made for me, but I'm just not feeling it. I can't even articulate why. I just was like very not interested.
Yeah. I think it's hysterical. I very much, for some reason, it tickled me in all the right ways. And I absolutely could see. So in one of the episodes, they wanted to have Batman go down on Catwoman, basically. And DC stepped in and goes, whoa. We can't have that for a multitude of reasons. We have to sell toys. Actually, one reason. We have to sell this, and it's primarily aimed at youth, and we just can't have that. That's disappointing to me because I think that it fits so well into everything that's happening in that show. Should we do spoilers here? Okay.
Yeah,
so if you're still watching the Harley Quinn animated series, and you don't want spoilers, that's too bad. So Harley and Poison Ivy end up together, right? So they can do it's interesting where they'll draw their lines. Like they're okay doing because there's been multiple references to some pretty vulgar sex things, and they've slept together. They've woken up in bed together. But to see Batman like popping up from going down on Poison Ivy, for some reason, Batman is the sacred character.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's odd because I loved as soon as I saw where the direction they were taking Poison Ivy and Harley, I was like, I'm in for this. This is fucking great. Like what a non-traditional route to take this story. And fucking the fact that they were like, yeah, we're going to buck the system. We're just going to do this. And then to hear that they pulled the plug on Batman, I'm like, well, why does he get held in such high regard when they can do all this other stuff with these other characters? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Batman. I mean, who sells more toys, Harley Quinn or Batman? You know, like
sure.
Who makes more movies,
yeah.
Harley Quinn or Batman? Like, I get it. Like from a purely business standpoint, I understand most of their. I mean, their target audience is probably younger demographic, but how many kids are watching this fucking show?
None, kids is
right?
what the answer should be.
Yeah,
because,
right.
Look, you already greenlit a rated R cartoon about like I can't even begin to tell you some of the jokes that they've done on this thing, and they're hysterical.
Right.
But they're super rated R.
Yeah.
So
there's an R-rated Suicide Squad coming out. Like,
yes,
you know,
this imaginary line that gets drawn. Again, to your point, I understand that they need to make toys, but this should have no effect on toy sales.
Yeah.
This show has nothing to do
also,
with that.
Batman isn't a main character in the show either. He shows up from time to time, but he's not the main thing. So like, he's
got a solid arc, and like there are episodes that revolve around him and Harley going back and forth, but in no way, shape, or form is he is a supporting character at best, 100%.
Yeah. Well, I love some of the comments here. Itoy says, in a quote, says, "So we said, are you saying heroes are just selfish lovers?" They were like, "No, it's just that we sell consumer toys for heroes. It's hard to sell a toy if Batman's going down on someone." That doesn't make sense to me.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I feel like that would actually, you might not be hitting the same market you're normally hitting, but I feel like the toy sales might go up.
Also, and I'm just going to say this, if you don't go down on your partner, you're a dick. You're a real dick. Like, what was it that DJ, what is it? What's his face? The
DJ
guy,
Khaled?
Yeah, who was like, "Nah, I don't do that. I'm the king of my castle." It's like, no, you're an asshole.
Right. Like, you're very selfish.
Now, if your partner doesn't want that, okay, cool. If they're not into that, that's one thing. But if they're like, "Yeah, I would really like it if you did that," like, no, I don't go down there, but you go down there on me.
Right.
It's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, yeah, if that makes me like Batman less. If he's just like, "No, I don't do that." It's just,
I'm a billionaire. I don't need to do that. Now we've crossed into some very questionable territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jared says the only part of Batman that isn't covered is his mouth. Of course, he'll have to eat pussy.
Right. See?
Tint says, "I know the location of every nerve cluster in a man's body and a woman's."
I was trained by Ra's al Ghul.
Itoy says Bruce Wayne equals Playboy, but not that kind of Playboy. Yeah. Oh, Saudi also says, didn't they say that villains are free to have sex because essentially villains equal bad morality equals has sex? DC is run by Mormons.
It just seems, again, I think at the end of the day, what seems like the oddest choice is that you have greenlit a show that is rated R. It pulls no punches in any other capacity. And for some reason, this was a sticking point. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if they were cutting a lot of stuff, but yeah, I mean, initially, right out of the gate, you watch Harley Quinn smash a guy's kneecaps, on a boat, and you see a lot of really insane shit right out of the case. But again, it's again super violent. But then it's like, no, Batman doesn't go down. No.
I think maybe does that go back to the whole thing, and we've talked about this before, is that we are so prude in this country about anything that has to do with sex or the physical form.
Yeah.
We're fine with murder and death and killing and that. We'll show that all fucking day. but if it comes to sex or anything sensual or erotic, no thank you. You shut it down. And I that is very much this country.
I love this question too, which is, does Tony Stark eat pussy? Here's what I would say to that. In Iron Man 1, no. By Endgame, yes. There's a definite transition where he does.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
He learns.
Yeah. Jared says, does he eat pussy or just smell Pepper's candle? I don't know what that means, but...
All right. This is getting odd. I don't like this anymore. I'm shutting it down. I'm pulling a DC. No, but I do think going back to the violence thing, like we have this weird obsession with where we're okay with showing the most horrific. Again, you can show torture porn, but you can't show just porn.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so bizarre. Like, I love everyone that weighed in on this too. Like, there were some really great memes that came out of this. I saw something someone posted where it showed like Nightcrawler going down on Storm.
I'm sorry, I just scrolled down to Zack Snyder.
Yeah,
I did not see that in the first time I looked at this article.
There's this amazing drawing
Christ.
of Batman going down on Catwoman on a rooftop, and like her eyes are rolling back, and Zack Snyder just writes canon.
Canon.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What was it?
Some of these are really funny.
Yeah, there's some really good ones. Like the Batman, the old school one, Batman slapping Robin, where Robin's saying, "So I was going down there." He's like, "Heroes don't do that." Yeah, I find that absurd. Oh, of course, you got the Anakin one. Batman doesn't go down
Without a fight, right?
Without a fight, right? Just stares. Without a fight, right?
Without a fight, right?
That's probably my favorite meme right now. Like that one doesn't get old for me. But yeah, it's just, I think part of this was taken out of context, to be fair to the people that said it. I think, their point being, we have to be careful, but I think a lot of that is diminished when you look at what the Harley Quinn show is, which is raunchy, violent, sexual. And so to pull back there, and like you said, to isolate that to just Batman, I think is really silly. And I think this is a bit overblown, but at the same time, this could have been easily avoided. Like, also, just don't tell the story. Just don't tell the story.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing is that you have to understand that if you say no to this, any brand needs to understand that this is going to leak. This is going to get out, and the internet is going to have a fucking field day with this.
Yeah.
There's no avoiding that. So you've already greenlit this R-rated show. I keep coming back to this point, but let these creators, I guarantee you, they were not going to have a full-on graphic hentai. There was not going to be actual intercourse happening. You weren't going to see anything. You'd probably see Batman. Catwoman would probably be having a conversation, and then someone leaves, and then Batman pops up and goes, "Do you think they saw me?"
Yeah.
Something like that. It would have been funny. It would have been implied, and you couldn't even let that happen. I say, fucking grow a pair.
Archer on FX had plenty of stuff like and this is on FX, man. This is on cable, Right. It wasn't.
And Archer toy sales are through the roof. Right.
One of my favorite scenes is when Archer's in a hot tub in the Monte Carlo episode, and he's like in a hot tub, and he's talking to his mom, and he like has an orgasm while he's talking. He just goes, and then like a girl pops up out of the tub later with a snorkel. He's like, wow, that's amazing. Like he's no one's been ever to make me finish. It was, I'm like, and there was just nonstop. Like it was, but again, I think the gender roles being reversed, right? It's a woman doing it to a man.
Absolutely.
Completely different than a man doing it to a woman, which again is insane to me. It's absolutely absurd.
It's fucking bonkers. It really is. And the fact that it has hit, like, again, in the nerd culture, it's hit this fever pitch. I just think that DC needs to, whoever made that decision, I think needs to really reevaluate, because if they finally allow it, that'll be a reckoning, and I think it'll be in a great way.
Yeah, I know we're beating a dead horse here. So, but Jared says, I want to see Batman wipe away a milk mustache ever popping up from between her legs.
That doesn't even make sense, Jared. You're done. Block him.
You're out. Time out.
You're out.
I love some of these other tweets. Batman
I put
Begins.
my dick in worse.
I forgot about that one. Batman begins, but none of his ladies finish. Well played. Well played. So yeah, here's to hoping Batman goes down on some ladies in the near future.
Yeah. Here's the hope. Here's the thing. Here's the hope when Catwoman can get hers.
Yeah, right? Because she deserves it.
She does.
Another.
I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter.
There you go. Strongly worded letter. Get some postage and everything, and you know, mail that shit. Mail it.
Put 2 stamps on it.
There you go. Make sure it gets there on time.
I just realized what I'm drinking out of right now too.
Look at that.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not gonna take another drink the rest of the night.
No.
Out of protest.
There you go. Go down on that cup, Justin.
There you go. Oh, I was going to do some sound effects. Never mind.
There you go. All right. So in other kind of comic book news, the Neil Gaiman's upcoming Netflix series, The Sandman, based on the comic, which I cannot fucking wait for. I'm so excited.
Sorry, Slotty goes, for the listeners, that was a Batman comp. Yes,
thank you.
I realized I was playing very much to Twitch there.
Visual jokes on an audio podcast.
But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to The Sandman. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's such. If you have not read this is one of the first. I remember working at the hotel, and I worked with a comic book fiend, and I was slowly like learning about different things. But I don't know. I always had a hard time like jumping into the Marvel comics now because it's just so much happening. It's so hard to get caught up on. Like I've picked up like the Civil War comics, and they just pull out the issues that relate to this. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, man. Like, I don't know who's this or what's that. And they're making references. I'm like, this is just too much. But I remember reading, I'm like, give me the top 10 comics of all time that I should read. And in there was things like Watchmen, V for Vendetta, some Alan Moore stuff, and then Sandman by Neil Gaiman. I was like, ooh, what's this? And, bought the first issue and just absolutely fell in love with it. And I was like, I got to get through this. It's only 10 volumes. And or at least for the original run, there is a prequel, which actually I own digitally and I have not finished. I need to do that. But it's amazing. It's so good. I hate to say this because it might sound pretentious, but it's more highbrow than your typical stuff. But in a good way. Like it takes a very interesting, serious approach to some ethereal, interesting things. And I highly recommend it. It's very cool. It's excellent at callbacks. It introduces characters that get called back later that have, I don't know. It's just super creative. It spans a whole length of time. It's absolutely fascinating. I love it. It's one of my favorite series of all time. So when I found out
it might be one of Neil's best pieces of work.
Which is saying something.
Thoroughly enjoy. You were the one I borrowed your copies and again fell in love with it. I've actually gotten my Amazon wishlist cart, the compendium. There's 3 volumes, and I that's if someone's looking to get me a real nice gift, I got those on there. I was blown away, and I think this might have been the first graphic novel I ever read.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're like, okay, cool. If you're gonna get into graphic novels, start here.
Yeah.
And my mind got blown wide open.
Yeah. So good. Zenny says Saga is an interesting series too. I do enjoy that. I've read, I think, most of that one. Also really, really good. Sandman's one of those things where it's kind of like a Stephen King book, or it's one of those things where it's like, how do you adapt this? And they were trying to do a movie at one point with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, directing.
They've tried off and on for quite a
decades.
Number of years with people like pitching ideas, and then like some have gotten close to actual pre-production, and then they've pulled back, and it's been a saga in and of itself.
It's incredibly challenging, I think, to make this, and I completely get it. I think nowadays it's possible. I think Netflix is a good place for it in a sense of how you can sort of. This isn't something that moves fast in a sense of, it's not a 2-hour movie. It doesn't fit in that. Like that stuff spans. It's a perfect thing for like a Netflix. But I'm super excited, and they started announcing some casting choices, which have been really cool. The guy they've actually casted to play Sandman, Morpheus, is like spot on. Way to go. And then all of a sudden, some people start flipping their shit on some of these choices.
Surprise, fucking surprise. The internet has issues with something.
Surprise. And I think one of the first ones was who they cast as Death, which is Kirby Howell-Baptiste, because she's black and all of the Endless are white. And I looked at this, I'm like, this is a perfect example of how it doesn't matter to me. Like, seeing that, I'm like, yeah, they don't all have to be white. No. Like, based on the comics, you could have someone who's black, and I'm like, it's still effective.
Yeah. I mean, initially the art in the comics, their main forms, they are all pasty, like translucent white, as if they are like specters or ghosts or they're ethereal. So I don't think they were necessarily drawn, or in my interpretation is I never saw them as white people. I saw them as otherworldly beings, that this is just the form they took. And in the comics, they take multiple forms too. People see them as they relate to them. So that's the other thing.
So true. And I think that's what's great, because that's also one of the things I love so much about the comic is you see them, like at one point, like Morpheus is talking to, because there's a bunch of short stories that exist, and he's like, takes the form of a cat speaking to other cats, and just at one point he's a black man in Africa, right? Like, he takes these different forms based on who they're talking to. They mentioned that Death at one point is portrayed as an Asian person, so really,
right?
Yeah, race doesn't matter.
That's the thing. They are of no race. They are Eternals. They are these ethereal. They are embodiments of concepts. They're embodiments of death, embodiments of dream, embodiments of desire, of despair. They're not people. Like, they are ethereal beings.
Yeah.
But they don't subscribe to race, so the concept that Death has to look like a goth, a pasty goth girl. Bullshit.
Well, I mean,
Neil Gaiman agrees.
Yeah, that's the thing I love is Neil Gaiman has defended all of this nonsense that it's coming out. Because the other one was Mason Alexander Park, who's a non-binary actor, was cast as Desire. And some people were like, they were all mad about it. And I love someone posted that said, wait, people are mad that Desire is non-binary? This Desire? And they have this beautiful portrait of Desire who has very feminine face, but very like, I wouldn't say masculine in a sense like they're ripped, but it's like, it's a male sort of torso and arms. But that was the thing, like in the comic, I'm an idiot. I didn't realize that the first time that I read it, which was I noticed that Desire shapes based on what people are attracted to. And they are
their
desires. They're very much a non-binary, because there were times where I look and I'm like, wait, is this a male or a female? And I'm like, that's the fucking point. Like, that's who they are. Desire does not know a gender. Right. It is whatever you want it to be. And
it's the embodiment of a concept.
And if anything, it's like, this is a perfect casting, because you have a non-binary person playing a non-binary character. It's like, that's spot on. And Neil Gaiman responded to that tweet where someone's like, wait, people are mad that Desire is non-binary, this Desire, and he's like, that's the one.
Yep.
And then
there's another one down where someone goes, wasn't Desire always non-binary? And Neil goes, well, yes, but you'd have to read the comics to know that, and the shouty people appear to have skipped that step.
Yeah, I love it, because that's the same thing as, like, someone wrote, why sell out? Just stand by your work, or do you lack the intestinal fortitude? It irks me more that you just don't even give a fuck. And Neil writes, I give all the fucks about the work. I spent 30 years successfully battling bad movies of Sandman, which I can only imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine if this was like a Spawn, right? So they finally get it approved and they send it out and it turns out to be shit.
Absolutely. And I'm sure they're just offering, he has probably been offered piles of money, bags of money. And for him to go, no, because it's not right yet.
Exactly. And he also says, I give zero fucks about people who don't understand, haven't read Sandman, whining about a non-binary desire or that death isn't white enough. Watch the show, make up your minds.
Boom. Yeah, exactly. Let the show do its talking.
Yeah, I fucking love that shit. And, you know, I think people will be way more, because here's the thing, like there's plenty of people that have not read this, that are going to watch it, and they're not going to be affected by the story because this doesn't affect the story.
Right.
This casting doesn't affect the story. Can you think of a movie or a TV show where the casting did affect the story for you, where it brought you out of it? I've got one off the top of my head if you want to keep thinking.
Yeah, go ahead with yours, because that's a really good question.
Another phenomenal comic book series is Lock and Key. I cannot recommend that enough. The show on Netflix is dog shit. And
I remember you not being a fan of that.
Part of that I attribute to the casting. Etoy says Solo. Part of that is the casting, because one of the characters is like this older brother. He's a bigger kid that plays hockey. And the person they cast is a short, scrawny person who, to me, I was like, this is not the big brother, the protector, whatever. I was like, and then he's like him playing hockey. I'm like, this kid would get the shit kicked out of him if he was playing hockey. Like, it didn't make any sense at all. And it's like, I'm like, no. Like, this is the complete wrong. And it gets to the point where sometimes I can overlook that stuff. And other times I'm like, every time he's on screen, I'm like, I don't fucking buy this for a second. That this guy is doing this. It's wrong. It's not the right casting. I think he's a fine actor, but I was just like, nah, it's not working for me.
People are jumping in the chat here. What does Jared say? Grundy in Riverdale?
I should have kept her as a 50-year-old lady and still had Archie fucker. Jared, I don't know what you're watching these days, buddy, but
man,
good for you.
Jared, you are. It's a very it's late night with Jared.
It's a horny morning over in Australia for Jared.
Fuck me, slutty.
I feel like that could not go better together.
That was a beautiful combo. Combo. Like, it was beautiful. That was beautiful.
I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of. I know there's been things that I've watched that I've gone like, that's a weird choice.
Yeah.
I've never read the book. I've read the first of the graphic novel series of The Gunslinger. But I always thought, in my mind, having Matthew McConaughey play the Man in Black, I for some reason, I never dove super into that character, because I think he's only mentioned briefly in the, or they don't. It's
he's balls deep in the comic. He's there. He's Walter O'Dim. He does all sorts of shit. He's definitely involved.
It's been a while since I always just, but
he can also change the way he looks. He knows magic, so he can change the way he looks often.
I guess I always just thought McConaughey and that was an odd, but I don't have a horse in that race, so never mind.
That was an example of one where Idris Elba was cast as Roland, and I was like, fuck yes, absolutely, like, let's do that. And I wasn't against McConaughey. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's see how that goes. It didn't work out, but I was like, yeah, that's but I don't blame them for that. That was just a poorly done fucking movie, just in general.
I mean, I can think of ones where, again, people have been pissed off about, like when Idris Elba was being talked about to play Bond, and everyone was freaking the fuck out. I'm like, again, James Bond, if you subscribe to the theory, which I do, is that James Bond is not a singular person. James Bond is a title that a special militant branch of, the English government designates someone as a 007. Like, that's how throughout the years he's been able to continue on, because different people have just taken the mantle. Very similar minded people, suave, good looking, very skilled, have taken the mantle of 007. So yeah, it absolutely makes sense that Idris Elba could be 007, because 007 is not the same guy.
And not only that, even if it was the same guy, who gives a shit?
Right. It doesn't really
change anything.
No, it doesn't.
The only thing that would change is if he went to, like, was doing a mission in southern, like Mississippi, and they'd be like, you don't belong around here. And he still kicks their ass. Like, that's the only time.
Still, I think Daniel Craig would stick out like a sore thumb in southern rural Mississippi.
Right. Yeah, although he does a pretty good Southern accent and Knives Out and everything like that. It was very good, you know.
But James Bond does not.
Yeah. Etoy says, it's funny. I love Lock and Key, casted as they are. Etoy. Then I went to read the comics afterwards. I couldn't. It felt weird. Yeah, the comics, again, amazing, phenomenal. The show is dog shit. Etoy also says the last Airbender movie, but only I hated everyone. All the casting choices. Jared clarifies, says Miss Grundy was Archie's teacher in the comics. She's an old lady. In the show, they made her young and had her sleep with Archie. That's gross.
Etoy, that's the one that I absolutely agree with. Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor. I did not and still do not like him as that character. Every time I see Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, here's the thing. I was all for that casting when I saw that they had the black and white photo of his head shaved. I was like, sure. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
The choices he made or the direction he was given for that character, completely absurd and not at all what I thought he should have been. He was so strange, and I'm like, that ruined it. So
that's a great one for me. Because every time a clip or that movie or whatever, every time I see him in that role, I get irrationally angry.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not something I'm sure he's proud of either.
I would hope not.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. Slotty says Jeff Bezos is, of course, the best casting choice. Yes.
Right. What a miss. Guys, what a miss.
I think The Rock would have been a better Lex Luthor than Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, why not?
That's hilarious. Well, because I also would have...
Zuckerberg was the right. I really enjoyed him as Zuckerberg. I thought that was great. Didn't really look like him, but embodied what I figured that dude is.
Well, because I thought they were going to take that route where, you know, someone who's like a Facebook-esque person is the Lex Luthor, which I'm like, I can buy that. And I can make those connections and everything, but boy, was that weird. Mm-hmm. So strange. Not what I expected, not what I needed.
Not what anyone wanted.
Yeah. I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. Like, I know there are where I'm like, well, that was a bad choice, you know.
We're going to end this podcast and we're immediately going to go, that's another one.
Yeah, if you're listening, hit us up on our on all our socials and in our Discord and let us know what were some of the worst, what were some of the casting choices in movies and TV shows that basically made you go, this sucks because this was the wrong casting.
Right.
Because I would love to read those because I know they're out there and I just can't, because I think that's such a fun subjective thing to dive into as well. Like, what about it makes you go, fuck, no, I can't do this. This is weird.
Right.
You know?
Shia LaBeouf as Indiana Jones's son.
See, I can buy that too. Like, I can totally buy that. That doesn't bother me at all. It's just a bad movie.
About the movie. Yeah.
Tilda Swinton is the Ancient One. Here's the thing. I thought that was a good one. I know that maybe it's an unpopular opinion. I like it because, now granted, I understand they're in Nepal and it's a white woman. It's a white person who's taking on that role. I get that. Exactly. I'm also Asian. I totally get it. Like, it's an opportunity where someone else could have taken it. And they put a white person in there. So I totally get that response and that reaction to it. But I actually found her in that, Etoy says I just personally can't get past it. I totally get that. For me, as a white male, that aside, that big issue aside, I found her to be charming.
I'm going to save you here. Stop talking.
Because for me, I was pleased it was a woman. I thought it was cool that there was a woman who was incredibly powerful, incredibly knowledgeable, putting someone like Doctor Strange in his place. Like, she was phenomenal. I loved her in Endgame, her little cameo there, and she talked to Bruce. Just her approach to everything was very measured, and it was great. But absolutely, an even better one was if an Asian woman had played that. That would have been pretty cool. But, you know. Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin. Well, he wasn't the Mandarin, so fuck off, Jared. That movie still pisses me off to this day. Iron Man 3 is one of the few Marvel movies that has been the most forgettable for me because I've seen it once and a half. And I just don't give a shit because the twist in it fucking pisses me off. It makes me irrationally angry.
It was a big miss.
So bad. And I just remember watching I remember watching the trailers and being so fucking excited. I'm like, oh, this is going to be dark. Right. Like, you got the Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin, which also could potentially be, also racist. Who knows? But
I think Ben Kingsley playing Gandhi.
Hey, there you go.
Ben Kingsley's been in a bunch of roles where you're just like,
John Wayne playing Genghis Khan.
There you go.
There you go.
Have we just shifted topics?
Have we did that? Have we changed it slightly to racist castings? Oh yeah, I am excited for Shang-Chi for that because something else that pissed me off is I love the one shot that came after that, which was All Hail the King, where you get to see the epilogue of Ben Kingsley's character as the Mandarin in prison, and
I never watched that. I don't think I've seen any of the one shots outside of a Strange Things Happen on the way to Thor's Hammer or whatever it was
I think I said that to you. You should definitely check it out. It's 10 minutes. It's fucking awesome. And it essentially it what's the word? Where you go back and redo something. Was it? It retcons. More or less. Yeah. It basically adds on. It's like, oh, by the way, the real Mandarin is actually out there, and he's pissed. I'm like, oh, but because they did that, to me shows that they're like, we fucked up.
Right.
We let Shane Black do this. We fucked up. Like it was something to me where I'm like, fuck you guys, because you fucked up and you're trying to right the wrong. But yeah, Shang-Chi, I'm super pumped. Like I don't know much about Shang-Chi. I know we've had him in a throwdown, I think, with Iron Fist and some other stuff like that in the past. And I'm super pumped. The trailer looks cool. I love some kung fu shit. I'd love to see that in the Marvel universe. I'm looking forward to it. And the fact that the Mandarin, the real Mandarin, is there. We get to see what the 10 rings actually do. Is pretty exciting. I mean, maybe I'll throw it back too that the Mandarin's a pretty powerful character that has some pretty mystical abilities, and we hadn't really gotten to the mystical side of things quite yet. When Iron Man 3 came out, we had just started exploring space a little bit. We had Thor, and I think Guardians of the Galaxy had come out by then, so I don't know if they were fully in line with the, it's a guy with rings that give him magic powers, sort of shit. Or eventually we're like, yeah, we've got fucking Infinity Stones, Yeah,
but rocks on a glove do.
Yeah. Right. See? And then we got there. Yeah. And when we got there, and it was good. It's definitely Ito also says his superpower is kung fu. Meh. I mean, okay. Is he also good at math? But fine. Asian representation in Marvel is still Asian representation. Well said. Yeah, I think they did great with Black Panther. I think they did a phenomenal job with that movie.
Yeah. I'm really, 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 really curious to see where they go with the sequel. I've got my theories. I know a lot of people online are buzzing about what they think is going to happen, but I'm very, very excited to see where they take that with everything that's happened. So
yeah, I think I Black Panther was one of those movies that I watched it and I was like, that was pretty good. And the more I've gone back to watch it, I've loved it even more. Like I just appreciate it so much more at what they did to just have such a great new perspective. And it just, Michael B. Jordan, his character is so, I don't know, man. Just the more I watch it, I'm just like, fuck, man, that's a really good movie. And my favorite thing is when Natalie watches it and it gets to the part where it's challenge day and the people are on the, they're on the things doing this. She does it back while she's watching. She does this thing as they're like chanting. Moves, she starts shaking her shoulders. I'm like, it's my fucking girl. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I
think what I'm going to try to do with this next phase is, and I say this now, I will undoubtedly fail, but I want to try to go into it not necessarily blind, but with the last 10 years, you and I, to say that we deep dove and picked apart every last thing would be an understatement. I want to, I don't know much about Shang-Chi, and I want to go into this movie with the experience of the movie showing me the character. And I want to go into, what's going to happen in Black Panther 2. Don't want to read about it. I want to go into it and let the movie show me what's going to happen. And with Doctor Strange, and I really want to try to let these movies in at least phase 4, let the movies kind of do their job and show me what they want to show me instead of me going, okay, let me learn everything about everything before and get all the theories and get like, I don't want to fall down that hole this time. Now, again, I say that now, undoubtedly that will go right out the window because I'm going to get super excited and I will spend hours on Wikipedia.
I think that's a phenomenal choice because for me, I always like to get an idea of who the character is, what they're capable of doing, because I kind of like to have that. And I think when you start going down some of the more advanced not the right, more complex storylines, like whatever's going to happen in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I don't know how much reading you're going to be able to do, because what I've liked is the MCU has taken on a life of its own. Like as we research our throwdowns and things like that, there's the, especially with Marvel, it's like there's the MCU page and then there's like the comic book page, and they're different. They're similar, but they're not all the same. Like it's so, and I appreciate that because I can watch the MCU and be like, this is where my attention is. I don't know everything that's going on in the comics because comics spans all sorts of shit. I'm like, also
it's so hard
those are wild. Whereas I'm like, MCU, this is wild. I'm saying this seems more grounded than the comics in a lot of ways. So I prefer that. I prefer to just be like, cool, I know what's happened in this universe. I can't go, 20 years ago during this story arc. I don't know that shit. I'm like, well, I watched it from beginning, from Iron Man 1 all the way through. I've watched it. I know that universe. And I like that they've tailored it to that. They use the source material as inspiration. They pull some things directly and other things they just are inspired by it, and they create a new story within this universe that they've built. And I think to that end, you can go into Shang-Chi and be like, I don't know what this character is. It's like, cool. Well, in the MCU, this is who it's going to be. And I think that's a safer way to go about it, because if you do much of a deep dive, you might be like, well, in the comics, he's supposed to be able to teleport. And when he comes out, he's supposed to get advantage on his next attack because he's flanking them. And if he rolls a natural 20, he's supposed to get an extra D8 on that. And I'm not seeing that on the screen. This is bullshit.
Right. Well, I think Marvel also has, what is cool is that they're allowing for someone who, to your point, that's why I've not picked up some of the comics, because and you and I have talked about this off mic too, is like, I go to you and I go, where the fuck do I start? Because there's just there's too much. And I know Marvel tried to, was it Marvel or DC hit the hard reset, and they basically like in the, I think it was the mid 2000s or something, they started with an episode or a issue 1, and they started all the storylines kind of over again and went, cool, if you want to get into this, we're going to reset everything. We'll still have this line of stories going, but we're going to start from 1 and we're going to retell whatever. And we're going to have potentially new things and yada, yada. And that's all well and good. It's still so much to get into. But what the movies have done, it's given people like us or like me the ability to go, these are my quote unquote comics. Instead of reading the comics, I'm watching, this is my version of comics. And whatever happens in here, to me, is canon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is where that's what I'm going to hang my hat on.
No, and I think that's what I appreciate too, because the comics, they're a bit of a commitment. I mean, if you want to stay up to speed on it, and again, for me, I'd rather someone curate it for me, or, it's like, oh, this is a legendary, you've got to check out this. Like, I went back and read Nightfall, which is when Batman gets his back broken by Bane. And I didn't realize how fucking old that storyline is. Like, I was like, when does this come out? Like the 80s, the 90s, like all the art and everything. There was a lot of like the thought bubbles of them thinking about what's going on, which I fucking can't stand. And I mean, it was fine. I understand if I put myself back to when this came out, I can understand why it was so cool. But it's like, we've talked about this, like seeing a comedian today from like 40 years ago. Everyone's like, you guys see this comedian? It's like everyone's built on top of that. I was like, yeah. Bane breaks his back. Ta-da! Right. It just wasn't that exciting.
Comedians back in the day, you can get to the punchline before. So same thing with this. You're like, cool. I pretty much know how this comic's going to fold or unfold itself.
Yeah, it's like, there's just a lot of things where I'm like, oh, this story doesn't resonate with me because of where I am in my life now. Right. And so I prefer something that has like a different storytelling device, or I don't know. Yeah. Itoy says something good. Good stories are just good stories. People just need to not get butthurt. Right. Yeah. And Justin has definitely held me to task on this sometimes. Just don't worry about your theories and what you think would be the best way to tell the story, because this is how they told the story. So
right.
you gotta reckon with that.
Well, and I look at that too, like, and that's the other thing is at some point we may want to just crack this open and really dive into what makes is there such, well, we've touched on it, but is there such a thing as a bad movie? Is there such a thing as a guilty pleasure?
Yes.
And, you know, or are those things, is a bad movie just someone, is a bad movie subjective, basically?
Oh, for sure.
Or is there something that can be categorically just undeniably bad?
Well, again,
you have that thing where it's like, well, my idea for this would be this. And like, that's great. Then write it. Because like I worry as a you know, emerging filmmaker, I worry that I'm going to run into that at some point where, you know, well, this movie sucks. Well, it's the story I wanted to tell. So fuck you.
Yeah.
How do you poo-poo on someone's story? But there are movies that we all agree are dog shit. So what's the qualifier there?
That's a really great question. I think at the end of the day, if you're creating something, you just have to create it. Tell your story, right? And that's something I've struggled with. I have lots of stories in my brain, and I've always been scared to tell them. And now I'm starting to eke out a little bit more and try to tell these things. And I'm like, look, at the end of the day, I'm just gonna do it. Like, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna put it out there. And it may not be well received, whatever. My thing is just like, I want to make something. You know, like that's on my bucket list. Is I want to create a story. I want to tell a story. And I want to be able to do that. And it's like, whether or not people like it, I'm like, whatever, man. Do I like it? Am I proud of it? Cool. At some point, may I regret it? May I not like it as much? Probably. I do that with most of the things I make, right? You go back to the first time I made any sort of video, I was like, wow, that's dog shit, you know, or because I've learned so much more since then. And so without a doubt, that'll happen. But I think when you're talking about a bad movie, I mean, it's always going to be subjective, right? There's always going to be one person out there that's like, no, man, Battlefield Earth, it's fucking great. You know, like some people are going to dig it. You know, there's some people who say, oh my God, I love this movie. And I go, cool. I know I won't like it because you like it, because our tastes are just different, Jared. But I think one of the most important things is in that regard too, is just, there's some things, do you look at it from a technical aspect, right? Like, this is shot weird. Like, everything in Battlefield Earth is like at a Dutch angle. It's like, why? Yeah. This is weird that this happens. And is it something like, you know, casting? Is it something that's like someone isn't emoting the right way, or they're not delivering their line? You're like, God, this is really pulling me out of the story. Is the story bad? You know, does it not make sense? Are there plot holes? Like,
that's what I was going to say, is like, if you take Battlefield Earth and redo the film, is it a good movie? Like, if you level the camera,
that's a start.
Someone just gets a leveler out and goes, cool, now we're square.
Yeah.
You know, if you level the camera and, you know, maybe get a new director, you know, I don't know, recast, whatever. If you take the exact same story and redo the film, is it good?
I don't know, man. That's a tough story.
Is the story good, man?
That's a tough story to tell, man, because goddamn, that's weird. And maybe if you go back, maybe a movie's not the right way to tell it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that happens in a small window of time, and that was how we told the stories. Now, there's so many ways, so many places to put that out there, so many streaming platforms to tell these stories now, that maybe that story is better long form, right? Now, the problem is, I think we may just rely too heavily on long form.
Sure.
Or it's like,
we lose the art of actual, like, film, like, condensed storytelling.
Exactly. And yeah, that's a wonderful conversation, and I would love to dive more into it later.
I think we've got legs on that one.
Yeah, Jared, you're absolutely right. We do agree on. So if it was Predestination, one of my favorite fucking films. I rewatched that like a couple months ago. Still love it. These Final Hours, great film. Absolutely agreed. We both don't like Iron Man 3. Very true. I think Thor 2, in my opinion, is underrated. I'll say it. It's not great, but I think it's underrated. Is it one of the weakest Marvel films? Yes. But I still enjoy it. I still watch it. I've watched it many more times than I've watched Iron Man 3. I've watched it significantly more times than I've watched Iron Man 3. Because Iron Man 3 is dog shit. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Unpopular opinions with Doug Cochran.
So you really don't like Iron Man 3 then? That is your least
really
favorite
don't
Marvel
like
movie?
it. Really don't like
you
it.
hate Iron Man 3?
I'd say, in my opinion, the weakest is probably the Incredible Hulk with Norton, which everyone forgets about. That one's not good. And I'd say Iron Man 3, and then probably Thor 2, if those were my bottom three, in my opinion. Like, you think
Iron Man 3 is above Hulk?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I have so many problems with Hulk, in that I just skip through the movie to watch the Hulk scenes. That's a problem.
Right, yes.
That's a huge problem. I could not give a shit about Liv Tyler or anything she has to say about anything in that movie. Like, I cannot stand her in that role in that movie. It's so obnoxious and gross. Yeah. And but yeah, the fight scenes of Hulk, I'm like, cool, let's watch this scene, and then I skip. Like, I just don't care about anything else. That's a problem. I do the same thing with Return of the Jedi. I'm like, where are the Luke and Vader scenes? I just skip. Don't care about Endor. Skip. That's a problem. That's a real problem.
I need to go back and watch. I've not watched any of the Star Wars films in quite some time.
I don't know if you have to.
I do. I have to. I do.
I guess. Yeah.
So you, okay. I was trying to set you up to say you hated it, but
say I hated what?
Anything.
Oh.
Any of the Marvel movies.
I don't know if there's one that I hate, to be honest with you. I really don't know.
Even the Incredible Hulk, you don't hate it. That's fair. That's fair. Look, that's fair.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You know what I hated was Lock and Key on Netflix. Don't watch that. Don't watch that show. Save yourself the goddamn time.
You know what show you should watch, though?
What's that?
Welcome to the Throwdown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah! So back on episode 15, if you guys can remember, all the way back to episode 15.
Justin, how many episodes ago was that?
A lot. Hey, Siri.
Do math.
303 minus 15. It's 288 episodes ago, Doug.
288 episodes. Cool.
288 episodes ago. We had a throwdown that it was one of our messier throwdowns because we had two people go up against each other, and it was decided very quickly. And then we're like, cool, let's do that person and someone else. And then apparently that was decided quickly. Go, okay, cool. This person versus someone else. And it was like one person faced three different opponents. But we thought, based off of current movies being released and the topic for today, we thought we would bring back the original version of that throwdown. So, Doug, let us know what it is.
This week's throwdown is Black Widow versus Catwoman. Which one would someone go down on first? Go.
Well,
Not
I'll
Batman.
say this. You know that the Hulk satisfies. So Black Widow's good. Catwoman, she's a little pent up. I think she's frustrated.
Yeah. But I think she likes it that way. It keeps her frosty, you know? It keeps keeps that edge, you know? I like this hashtag throwdown throwback. I love it.
Yep. Oh, good one. That's good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's break this down. Let's start with Black Widow. Let's start with her. So, Black Widow's abilities. So, she is a master spy. So, espionage, stealth, disguise, infiltration, and demolition. She gets +5+ her proficiencies in all of those abilities. All right? We know that's true. Master martial artist. One of the best fighters in the world. Being trained at a young age in the Red Room. Was a top operative. She's mastered things such as Sambo, Hapkido, Lucha Libre style wrestling, Krav Maga. It's weird that they add that as a... Hey, did you? How you doing in your Lucha Libre class? Oh, I'm getting a C+.
I can't see through the masks.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's see here. Spear mastery. Okay. Staff mastery. All right. Master acrobat. Master assassin. master marksman, and she has gifted intellect. So she's on par with Steve Rogers and Clint Barton. So she can pick across information across multiple streams for threat assessment. She's a master interrogator. She's an expert hacker, and she's a pilot. And she knows a lot of different languages as well. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say Catwoman is a master acrobat as well. Her feats have been so amazing that one could argue that her athletic ability is somewhat superhuman. So there's that. She's a master martial artist. She was trained by the Armless Master in martial arts and by Wildcat in boxing and street fighting. She's dangerous, clever, resourceful fighter, known for precise, agile attacks, speedy getaways, and she's got cat-like speed and reflexes, balance, and flexibility. She's mastered the following styles: boxing, kickboxing, capoeira, taekwondo, hapkido, jiu-jitsu, dragon-style kung fu, and karate. And I think she's also got those little sharp claw things.
Yeah.
She's got stealth. She's as stealthy as any large cat. She's been able to sneak up on large groups of people and other vigilantes. She take food off the table. You won't even see her coming. She shows market process ability. Master thief. She'll steal your heart. She's one of her powers and abilities is disguise. Very similar to Geppetto Disguisey in The Master of Disguise. She to pull off many capers, Catwoman resorts to disguises and aliases. She once posed as an old lady to steal valuable pieces of jewelry while on a cruise ship. Later, that was a rough. Not a lot happening in the writers' room. Later, she posed as a nightclub.
I gotta pause real quick. There's no source for that, so I don't even know if that's true. So I don't see that linked anywhere.
It's true. And then she has feline empathy. She has a strong affinity for cats. Not necessarily that she can command them to do things. She just feels she likes them a lot.
Well, it says feline species tend to flock to her, accepting her almost immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
But she can't control them like Ant-Man controls ants.
No, but she can befriend them and train them and form strong bonds with them. Sometimes they even come to her defense when she is attacked.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So is this happening in an alley in New York in the 1930s?
Maybe.
That's the question.
Right.
Is that when this fight is happening?
Slotty also adds that she knocks things off tables. So
she does. And she doesn't break eye contact. She just... And then she'll go back for the next thing. She just keeps doing it.
Dude, that was beautiful. We were perfectly in sync.
I saw that. Yeah,
amazing.
I liked it.
That's a good moment.
Yeah, man. I think we were spot on the first time around, and there's a reason this ended so quickly. Black Widow.
Yeah, I mean,
like she's the near perfect assassin. How do you go against that?
Well, not only that. I mean, not that Catwoman hasn't fought some, pretty powerful people, but like Black Widow, I mean, we've seen her fight, the children of Thanos.
Yep.
We've seen her like fight Bucky one-on-one. Like, sure. I just think this would be an amazing fight.
Oh, absolutely.
I imagine
acrobatic abilities, paramount, like that at the front of everything. Like they would be just flippy woos and dodging shit. Like they would be really good at both play defense very well.
Well, not only that, I just imagine them like going to some highfalutin event and, Catwoman's there to steal shit and Black Widow's there to get intelligence. And they sort of like they kind of pick up on each other.
Sure.
And they assume the worst in each other. And that's where like they try to outmaneuver each other, and I think that would be the interesting thing. But at the end of the day, I think whatever Catwoman pulls, I think Black Widow gets out of it. I think Black Widow's got that killer. Catwoman is definitely not lawful good in any stretch of the imagination. Black Widow has straight up fucking murdered people, like for the KGB and shit like that. Like she's
got a lot of red in her ledger.
Exactly, and she's happy to add to it. I think that's how I think that's how the line goes.
That's how the line goes.
Yeah. And I think just her overall capabilities, not to mention her, like the weapons she has at her disposal.
Oh yeah.
You know, she's got the stun batons. She's got all sorts of gadgets. She's got guns. Like I don't think Catwoman uses guns. Yeah. She's got a whip. So yeah, I think this is Black Widow.
Whip those bullets right down.
Yeah, right.
Again, it goes back to Spider-Verse Cat, as most things come down to.
Right. Exactly.
And you know, we got to say Black Widow for the
win. Fun fact about Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman in Batman Returns. Yes. That scene where she's like whipping the mannequins off. Yes. She did that all in one take. She nailed that like in her first try. And because her suit was so tight, she could only do scenes for like a certain amount of time before she would pass out because it was like constricting to her and she'd overheat and pass out. So fun shit. Well, you know why I know that? Because I fucking killed it on the trivia game that I played for work last week. And that was one of the ones that I was like, yeah, baby. Trivia master for that one time right here. I love it. Woo! That was good stuff, man. That was good stuff.
It was.
Justin, what do you have to recommend this week?
I am going to recommend on Netflix, The Kaminsky Method. I'm late to the game on this one, but it is so wonderfully enjoyable. It's Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin and a slew of other people. But Michael Douglas plays Sandy Kaminsky, who is a renowned acting coach in Hollywood. Alan Arkin plays his agent, and it starts off at least as like an elderly buddy thing where they're just on each other and they're both trying to stay relevant in an ever-changing world. And it's someone recommended it to me, and I threw it on the other day. And episode 1 had me super hooked because it was then the first 5 minutes. I was watching it by myself. I laughed out loud by myself. And that's always a good sign when a show can, when you're with someone, you kind of feed off their energy. But when you're solo and you laugh out loud, that to me says it's very funny. So laughed out loud by myself. And then by the end, I was like a little choked up. So it pulls on both sides of the spectrum. And I was like, the acting, of course, you've just got, powerhouses. So check out The Kaminsky Method. It's only 3 seasons. The 3rd season just dropped a month or so ago, and they're done now. So it's very digestible. And then also check out Ted Lasso if you haven't. It is ramping up for its 2nd season. They just released the 2nd trailer for the 2nd season, and it's going to come out in a month, and I'm very excited. So go get on that shit.
This episode of My Gap Podcast brought to you again by Ted Lasso. I'm about halfway through season 1 of Sweet Tooth on Netflix. Okay. I recommend it so far. It's based on a comic of the same name. I will say that if you're feeling a little bit like pandemiced out, that is a significant part of this show. There was essentially a virus that ravages the world. And at the same time that happens, all children that are born are hybrids. They are part animal and part human. And it basically, society falls apart. And these hybrids exist. And it tells the story of one particular hybrid named Gus, who's raised by his father in seclusion and his adventures in the world. And it's kind of cool. It's interesting. It has some apocalypse vibes to it. It feels like it's a PG-13 kind of show in a lot of ways. And I enjoy it. I think it's pretty good.
Comedy, drama, a little bit of both?
It's drama. It's drama. There's some lighthearted
Will Forte's in it. So
he does not play a comedic role at all.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. And being a father and watching this, it was a defining moment where I was like, really? Okay. I was like, oh my God. But it's interesting. But I definitely
I legitimately thought it was like a baking show.
Welcome to Sweet Tooth. But it's definitely, Jill and I were talking about any movie that comes out right now that has to do with anything with the pandemic. I think people are going to be like, get the fuck out of my face. Like, I don't want to I don't want to watch anything about this because I've been living with this for so long. So
right.
That is an element which it doesn't bother me too much, but I'm like, yeah, it's pretty on the nose. People essentially getting sick and society collapsing. It's definitely it wasn't like, wow, what a novel idea. I'm like, yeah, I get this. I understand it. A little too much.
The production companies involved, Team Downey is one of the production companies, so
Yes.
Robert Downey Jr., and then DC Entertainment. So is this a mashup of Marvel and DC?
That's true. I did see Robert Downey Jr. like post about this on Twitter, basically saying like, hey, this is out. Go check it out. We're very proud of it. So yeah, he is definitely involved. But I'd say check it out. I don't know how many episodes it is, maybe 9 or 10. I think I'm halfway through, and it's been pretty enjoyable so far. So I'd also recommend season 3 of Narcos. Been out for a while. I watched the first 2 seasons, and then season 3 hadn't come out yet, and I just recently went back and rewatched it. Fucking amazing show. Recommend it.
Brilliant, yeah. All of this available on Netflix, except Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Available on Apple Plus TV.
That's
Apple
right.
TV Plus.
Yeah, cool. So those are our recommendations. That's it. Gang, thanks for hanging out with us this week. Please do not forget to check us out on all our social medias at MindGap Podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Find our channel there, like and subscribe. We post all of our videos there as well as highlights from our show. And please, please, please be sure to follow us on Twitch over at twitch.tv/MindGapPodcast. Hit that follow button. The notifications will turn on and let you know whenever we go live. We typically go live on Tuesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central. Although this Friday, come hang out. We're playing What the Dub, and you should come watch and laugh. It's going to be a real treat. And if we've got room, you can fucking play with us. How about that? We're going to include you. We're inclusive. Come play with us. Be there. You're in trouble, or I'll burn your house down. All right, Justin, you exist in the digital realm too.
That's true. On Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher,
Good pods.
Podbean, all the places you can go find us, verbal things. Go like us, review us, rate us, subscribe, all those good things too. The big one that we want you to do is share. Just share us around. Let people know that we exist, because that means a lot to us. We like people to know we exist. And then 2east8th.com/mindgap. And then also keep an eye on all of 2east8th's socials. We're every 2 weeks, I think a new Chris and Matt video will be coming out. Chris and Matt just released their first one last week, called Dad Bowl 2021. It's a follow-up from the Server Bowl 2019 that they did. And it's some funny stuff, some chuckle bones and haha faces. So go check that out.
Chuckle bones and haha faces in your sleep. So with that being said, I want to say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Twitch, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
And you all have a dandy fucking week.
Mind Gap Podcast.